Hello everyone, welcome to this Videoguys Live. I am your host Adam Noyes. I'm filling in for Gary today. And today we are doing live production and streaming. There's an app for that, what a creative title. So today we're basically focusing on your software that can possibly come with your equipment or can be downloaded from the individual companies that make the product, or apps that you can install on your iPhones, your Android device, tablets, iPads, you name it. So that's the focus of today's show. So hopefully I am coming in very good. We had a little technical issues going in at the very beginning, so we apologize for coming in a little late. So essentially what these are going to do, what these apps, the software is going to do, is you're going to get more of your from your live production streaming. So you're basically going to be being able to fully experience and fully utilize that hardware that you have with the software that it works alongside that software. So you shouldn't really look at them as necessarily, especially when it comes to hardware, two things that can do the same thing. That's not necessarily true. A lot of times your apps can pull out all the full specs and pull out all the potential that you need or that you want in terms of utilizing the hardware or sometimes the software that you have. They go hand in hand. They can help each other. It's not one versus the other. They often help each other and go along in that. So to break down the show, here's what I'm going to be talking about. Today, we're going to be talking about the apps that make hardware products do more. So that's the first thing that we're going to tackle. Next, we're going into the apps to get more from your PTZ cameras, because we all know how important PTZ cameras are, especially today. And then 3, apps to bring your live production to the next level. And then finally, apps for the cloud. Now we have a couple there for that. So let's start off with apps that make your hardware products do more. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is something that we've talked about a lot, and we've done a lot of shows talking about RGB Link Mini, but that's the Expose software for desktops and laptops. We've done full demos on this before. Here's a rundown of everything that it can do. It's available. You can also have the Expose apps for mobile devices and tablets. That is also available, very importantly, for both Android devices and your iPhones and stuff like that. And these can be used to control your cameras, create green screen or chroma keying and stuff like that. We have done so many shows on this before. I'm going to play a little clip here that will basically give you a rundown, but I highly recommend that you guys check out our full shows for a lot more details on this stuff. So Jenny, if you could roll the clip and we'll get right along.
First thing I want to stress is this is camera 1 facing me, but I can also control my switching right in the Expose software. Right there, and there's my camera 2 shot of Adam. That panning and tilting capability that PTZ cameras have, if I hit these, I'm now controlling my PTZ camera. So if I want to bring this up a little, but if I go up here, you'll see I have focus controls as well as zoom. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and there I am. And if I wanted to focus that, I would actually just play with these controls here. And you can see that's all happening under camera 1. I could do the same with camera 2 on this drop down as well.
Up next, we have Roland. Roland has a few different things that are actually really cool, and I would actually really recommend these for bands, people who are wanting to expand their horizons, because we all know that a lot of vendors and bars and stuff like that are still really keeping their doors shut, because of the pandemic. The pandemic's not going anywhere, but just hopefully the more people that get vaccines, the more we'll be able to sort of return back to normal. However, to better expand your audiences, what better way than to go live? And Roland has a couple of different apps to help you out with that. The first one we're going to be taking a look at is the Virtual Stage Camera app. Now, I would really recommend this for people who are streaming and all they really have for their location is a white wall. That's the worst thing you can have. Coming from experiences with just a blank white wall in the background, and you don't necessarily have the room or the time to really build somewhat of a set or to get your lighting just right and stuff like that, because that takes time, that takes a lot of energy, and a lot of times we just don't have that at our disposal. So what the virtual stage can do is it can read the background that you have and ultimately basically create a different background for you. And what's cool about this is that it also does not just images, but it also does video. I believe we have a clip for this, and I can talk over it to further go into more explanations as to what's happening here. So yeah, this is the virtual stage camera, and this is videos from Roland itself. So you can watch that. We'll have a link in the description below. But essentially, you can just set up your phone. Again, we all have phones, so we all have a camera. And you connect that to, let's say, a Roland video switcher of some kind. You plug your audio device into that, and then you get to choose your background. And again, as I mentioned before, it can be a video file or it can be an image. It can be one or the other. That's one of the benefits of using this. And so you select that. You can know which background that you want to just add a little pop. And so what you're going to want to do to make sure that it registers what your background is, you want to make sure that nothing's in the way, and it will record your background, figure out what your background is, and as you can see up in the corner, it will switch it out. And now you're in a virtual set. Now you don't have to worry about just a bland white wall in the background. And on top of that, you can now record this file, and you can stream it to multiple people. And you can totally reach a whole new audience, record this, upload these videos to YouTube, because content is absolutely key. And here's a preview of what it actually looked at. That's actually a pretty cool device that it's able to figure all that stuff out. So that was the Roland Virtual Stage Camera. Highly recommend it. I actually can't wait to play with that one more. That is something that I would really be interested in because, well, let's face it, we want to keep our stuff interesting. We want to keep our content great. And what better way to do that than start creating some cool backgrounds when you don't have one before. Now, the other app is the 4X Camera app. Now, the 4X Camera app actually kind of reminds me of something that I believe TikTok did, and for a while there it was trending quite a bit, which was you could basically record yourself 4 different times and bring yourself in, and suddenly you sound like a choir, or stuff like that. And what this does, it kind of is a much more comprehensive version of that, because this you can edit your clips, you can record them all separately, you can bring in other people, and actually do this. And again, I think this is great for bands in particular. And this is available from the App Store and Google Play, so Androids and iPhones and stuff like that, and it's completely free. We also have a clip for that, in which if we throw that up, I can explain it a little bit more. So this thing is actually really, really cool, and I can't recommend it enough, but bands should be all over this. And essentially what it is, you can record yourself one at a time, and once you're done recording, you bring those files into the app and basically choose, you're recording a whole bunch of different ones, and you can choose which files, you can choose your best takes, and bring them into the app one by one. As you can see, you can rearrange like how the positioning of the cameras are. You can snip the clips together independently, so you can definitely sync them up that way. Again, this is just absolutely perfect for bands. Mixing audio. That is so key. That is so key, making sure that the vocals are loud enough, that the guitar needs to be loud enough, and stuff like that. This is seriously one of the coolest apps out there. And then you, of course, can either share the file to your friends or on social media. Again, content is key, and I can really see bands getting all over this. And that's what I recommend. If you know a band, if you are working with a band, or even if you're in a band, this is the app for you, quite frankly, because this is just getting more of your content out there and sharing it with your friends. And you see right there, that was multiple people being brought in. It wasn't just that one girl. You can bring in your drummer, your guitarist, and everything like that. And you can just really play around with it and have fun, because quite frankly, that's what a band should be. A band should be fun, and people need to be entertained. This is a great way to do it. Now, moving on to Epiphan. Epiphan Video has a really interesting UI, and a lot of people, I think, forget a lot of these applications have these UIs that are really helpful to getting your live stream set up. So you can use this GUI. Before I show you it, I'm going to be showing you it via this surface here, but you can also bring it in onto an iPad or a tablet, or just for mobile control. So it's entirely versatile. This is what the Epiphan user interface looks like. You get to see what your inputs are. You get to select the resolution you need them to be. And of course, right now, all we have is the Pearl Nano, which is one of my favorite set it and forget it encoders that we have. And this is where you can, let's see, you can set up a live stream via RTMP or SRT, which is something that's really important. We've done plenty of webinars talking about SRT before to go further into that. But you can select your SD cards. You can select what your output is seeing. Right now, that has one of my cameras. That was one of our cameras hooked up to that. So that's what that's seeing. And you can also check out your audio. But one of the big things that this has is you can upload, lower thirds and stuff like that. You can upload your lower thirds and check out that. You can also preview your live stream, like that's what I'm doing right now. You can preview that. Aha. Apps to get more out of your PTZ cameras. Now, PTZ cameras, everybody is using them now, as they should. They are great things to have. You can make one camera now look like there are 3 or 4 cameras, and that's a great deal. So this is going to help. So we're going to start off, of course, with PTZ Optics. Who else would we start off with? PTZ Optics has a lot of options for their PTZ control. The first thing we want to talk about is their mobile app. This can be put right on your Android device or your iPhone, and from your cell phone, you can now control your PTZ cameras. You can you can set presets, you can do all of that. But I'm not really the right one to talk about this. We have a clip here where Paul Richards is going over it. So Jenny, let's play that clip and let him explain it a little bit further.
Hi everyone, Paul Richards here with PTZ Optics. In this video, I'm going to show you how our brand new iOS camera control app can control up to 4 PTZ Optics cameras. This is our brand new iOS app on a regular iPad here, and you can see that it's got a really slick little layout and allows us to control the pan, tilt, zoom of the cameras. And I've got 2 cameras set up here. I've got my right cam and my left cam, and this is only a $10 app. So this is one of my favorite parts of the app because you can name your presets. And now if I hit this button, and I'll show you this in the quad layout here, it will go ahead and go from one input to the next. So that's input 1, go back to projector, and it will go to input 2 there. So very, very easy to set presets, and you can go back and forth between camera 1, camera 2. So here is the iPad layout, which we've been looking at today. You can see here that there are 9 presets at the top, and you can go ahead and hit set. And the number that you want to set, and then you can go ahead and name it. Now let's take a look at it on the iPhone. It's laid out a little differently so that we can fit more buttons into the space. We have a little bit less real estate on the iPhone.
All right, so that's pretty cool, but that same sort of control is also available on your desktop, the desktop app, or I like to call it software personally. So this is available for Mac and PC. It's available, you can even plug it into OBS, for example. Now, this essentially does the same thing as the iOS app. So you have tons of different options. So one thing that I want to say right now before we get into the clip where Paul and Tess get a little more into the desktop app, I want to say, why would you get one over the other? Why would you get, the one for your phone and not your desktop? Well, it all comes down to what can your computer handle. If you're using hardware to stream, such as the LiveView Solo or something like that, and you are streaming with that, or the Pearl Nano, you're using that to stream, then absolutely, you'd be able to, that takes a huge load off of your computer, so now you can, use the desktop app to control your PTZ cameras. But let's say you don't have that luxury, because let's face it, a lot of us don't. Well, that's when you're going to want to bring in your iPhones and your Android devices, because now while your computer is streaming and mixing, you don't want to add PTZ control on top of that on your computer, because it can really bog down your computer. Now you can do it on your phone, letting your computer do what it absolutely needs to do. So it all depends on what your workflow is, what you're using to stream, and stuff like that. So I just wanted to absolutely bring that up. And the final thing I want to bring up about this is that it is free. So without further ado, let's get to that clip with Tess and Paul, because they do a much better job explaining it than I could.
Is available for Mac and PC. I will say that Windows has a couple more features. So I want to show you guys this. This is the live view here. And you can see here that we actually have 3 different view options. And for example, if we go to compact view and I unsnap this, you can just have it be this tiny little app. You can switch between cameras, you can pan, tilt, zoom, and you can actually call presets. When I recall these presets, I have pictures to go back to, and it really does make life quite easy. As you switch cameras, it also switches the video feed. By default, you see there's 2 stream options here. There's an SD stream and an HD stream. It's on SD by default. We can resize it, put it on another monitor, do whatever we want with this video feed, including making it full screen. And then here's something I'm not gonna change, but if you wanted to have it in manual mode, now these buttons work. So, and brightness doesn't. So for example, brightness only works in brightness mode.
Let's go on to Panasonic. Now Panasonic has something that's really interesting. They have an auto tracking software that can be found as either the AW-SF100 or the AW-SF200. Now for most people, I'm going to say the SF100 is just fine, because that just does 1 camera at a time. I recommend the 200 for far more of the professional levels of this software. But essentially what this can do, and this is really cool, is it can figure out what your area of interest is, find you as a subject or your speaker, and the PTZ camera follows you automatically. There doesn't have to be someone behind the scenes on a joystick or on an app. Instead, this app does all the heavy lifting for you. This is huge in education, ladies and gentlemen. This is huge. Now your lecturer can be walking up and down the stage or whatever, and writing on the wall, and the camera will follow him, keeping you interested and the audience interested, which is the most important part of all of this, is definitely keeping your students interested. I can also see this being used in houses of worship as well, a great deal. But there's also a few other features that are available within this thing, such as face recognition. And while Panasonic did their own video about this, and as I said before with PTZ Optics, Panasonic can definitely explain this a little bit better than I can.
In this episode, we'll be looking at our state-of-the-art auto tracking software. The SF100 can be downloaded onto a PC that I have here in the studio, and this can control 1 camera at one time. To begin adding cameras, I can hit the top left, and there's already some that I've already pre-designated. Because we can control only 1 camera, we can switch between which camera we want to control. And then I can begin looking at the tracking process. So we have our PTZ controlling functionality up here, where I can position the camera. I can then assign JPEG presets inside, so if we want to line up a stage, for example, where the presenter will be. And then in the bottom right, I can also change different camera elements. To actually set up the tracking, we have our different elements in the bottom window here. If I hit tracking start stop now, I can actually move around inside the studio, and then the camera is now tracking me. If I want to enhance the tracking functionality, or I want it just to track me if there's a second speaker next to me, I can actually add in a picture from the camera by looking at it, selecting and applying my name, in which now I've added a 3rd face. So this can then have a database of faces that you can quickly activate, and it is all stored locally on your machine. Now, if I want to select my face, I can quickly simply do this. I could also use the auto face search, which would then recognize my face and apply it to continue tracking. And now I can continue to move around the studio, and it's still tracking me with even more accurate detection. SF100 and SF200 is available for a 90-day free trial at the time of this recording, and it's compatible with our complete Panasonic PTZ lineup.
All right, thank you for that. Now, let's move on to Bird Dog color controls, because sometimes we're mixing and meshing cameras. So one could be Bird Dog, one could be NewTek, one could be PTZ Optics or Panasonic. So sometimes you need to color correct your cameras and make sure that they are the best they can possibly be, or match the best that they can possibly be. Or let's just say that color temperature is completely wrong. You've gone in from outside and the image just doesn't look good. Well, that's where BirdDog comes in. BirdDog color tools for their cameras is absolutely outstanding, and they're constantly updating their UI. They are constantly updating the firmware, which is one of the things that I love about BirdDog. So I'm actually going to demo this for you right now. So essentially what you can do is within the UI, right now that's a P100 we have hooked up, you can control your exposure, your gain, your shutter speed. Let me just really mess with the white balance really quick. Let me crank down that, and you should be seeing just how ugly that looks. So you can do that. You can also do auto, which now that is actually the right color temperature. That's what this should be. I personally think that's a little too orange for my liking. That's a little too tungsten. So that's when you get to go to manual, and you can sort of play around a little bit. And as you can see, now I have a little bit more blue in the shot. Now I have a little more, you know, a little more daylight color temperature in there. And you can also control the sharpness. You can crank the sharpness. You can do noise reduction. I like to keep noise reduction because oftentimes with these cameras, they have a low lighting scenario. And what that noise reduction will do is it will take down those little dots that you see all over. That's called noise. You'll see those and it'll sort of smooth them out a little bit. The result of that, though, is often a little bit less sharp of an image. The more you have to reduce your noise, this is just a tech tip from one video guy to another, the softer your image will get because it's trying to smooth over those noise levels. So sometimes it's just a simple matter of balancing it out. But I just wanted to demo that because I think that is an absolutely really cool thing to show off. So let's get back to this. Next, we're going to talk about apps to bring your live production to the next level. First one we want to talk about is actually one that's really helpful for people who are often out on the field, and that is Wirecast Go. I can see this being used in the sports area a lot. What is the Wirecast Go? Well, it's something that's really exclusive for iOS cameras, you know, iOS devices. And all it does is through the network that you're on, it connects the camera on your iOS device, and it can now be brought in to Wirecast as a video source. Now, Oliver did a demo of this a while back on an episode of Ask the Video Guys. We'll have a link in the video as well as in the blog post that goes up after this, linking into a far more in-depth look at how the Wirecast Go works. But without further ado, let's play the clip and you can see for yourself.
I actually did a little demo of this myself, and we'll roll it in just a minute. But I actually took the laptop running Wirecast, my iPhone running Wirecast Go, and I was able to bring the camera feed into Wirecast all outside of my apartment, so right in my front yard. But this could be applied anywhere, and I wanted to show it off outside just to show you the flexibility of the tool. And actually, Jen's going to bring it up, and I'm going to just talk right through it. So as you can see, here's me with my laptop, and I have my iPhone, and we'll get a closer look at Wirecast in a minute. But here's the Wirecast Go app, and you're going to want to hit that little dot in the corner and configure everything. You don't have to stream to YouTube, but in this section, it also shows you where you're allowed to stream to Wirecast to let that be available in the permissions. So here's my shot, and with no wires at all, I'm able to go into Wirecast. I hit Configure Source, and you'll see it pop up right on top on iOS Cam Wirecast Go. And then I go over to the IP section if it didn't connect the first time, and I type in the IP of my network where the phone is connected, and now I have my shot, and it's being brought in via Wirecast, which is absolutely awesome. I'm so excited about this feature being added to Wirecast.
The Wirecast Go isn't the only one that allows you to bring in your feed, your cell phone's video camera feed into a program. If you have a device that allows you to bring in NDI sources, you can also get the app NewTek's NDI HX Camera. The NewTek NDI HX Camera app is only $19.99 and is available on both the both for iOS devices along with your Android devices. And essentially what that does, it brings your cell phone's camera's feed in like a camera. So you now have more cameras out on the field. And again, I can see sports really getting into something like this. And it's 1999. You can now bring this as a source into basically anything that allows you to bring in NDI sources. And I think that's a win-win, especially if you're out on the field or if you have to really run and gun something. We all have a phone in our pocket. This is a great solution of getting your camera, an additional camera source, into your live streaming production. Now, NDI Tools is a big one. NDI Tools is something that we use here every day. And I'm actually going to do a live demo a little bit later of one that is actually really important but often overlooked. But before we get to that, this is a single download that you can get from NewTek, and it's absolutely free. As you can see below, Windows has a few more plugins than, or programs than Mac does, but I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing them switch around pretty soon, and they'll be evened up. But essentially what these do is that these can help your live production significantly. You can get PTZ control. You can figure out, okay, what's your IP addresses for all of these cameras. This is where you absolutely need to go. And we did a brief little video talking about the ones that we use a lot here at Videoguys. And so I say let's play that video. And
NDI Tools is a free software suite from NewTek with the NDI applications needed to elevate your production. NDI Tools can be downloaded for free at ndi.tv/tools. Here's a look at some of our favorite applications in this suite. NDI Studio Monitor is a great way to see what NDI sources are on your network. You can monitor both audio and video from any NDI source on your network, and you can record locally to your desktop. It also features remote control for your PTZ camera. NDI Screen Capture is a great way to mirror your desktop screen and bring it in as a camera source completely wirelessly. This is how we bring in our PowerPoint presentations for our webinars. NDI Webcam Input is a great tool for boosting your video conferencing workflows. Whether it's Teams, Zoom, or Skype, NDI Webcam Input can bring the picture from your NDI-capable production system into your call and use it as a webcam source.
so along with that, we have NDI Analysis, which is something that I use just about every day. That is a separate download, but if you go to NDI Tools, you'll see that it's available for download. It's just a separate download. It's still free. And what NDI Analysis does is it finds your NDI sources, everything over your network, and it also can greatly help you diagnose the problem. As a video production specialist, one of the things that I often have to do here at Videoguys is check out units that people have said haven't been working and stuff like that. This is often how I diagnose the problem. You can tell if something is on a static IP address. You can find out if it's on DHCP. That's one of the first things I always check, and NDI Analysis often helps you. And let me show you how that actually works. It is very simple. What you do is you go to this here, you open NDI Analysis, which will take you to this command prompt, type in NDI analysis.exe/find. Hit enter. It'll count down because it's looking for all of your devices, and as you can see, there we go. All of our NDI sources are now listed. And it tells you their IP address, it tells you everything of the sorts. It is a great program to help diagnose problems with live production, because we all have live production problems. Yeah, we've been having them here today. So if they're happening to us, they're definitely going to be happening to you. NDI Analysis, if you're using NDI technology, is a great way to figure out, at least begin to figure out, okay, where is the problem coming from? NewTek also has something rather interesting called Live Panel. Live Panel is essentially a great tool for those who are using a NewTek product, such as the TriCaster Mini 4K NDI or something higher, or the one of the regular TriCaster Minis. And essentially, you can now make it remote. You can now work from a different room than what's on the TriCaster, as long as you guys are on the same network. And recently, we had Jeremy Morris on the show, and he was talking with Gary, and he did an amazing live demo of Live Panel. And who better to explain Live Panel and what it does than Jeremy Morris himself? I highly recommend you guys check out that webinar. It's one of my favorite webinars that we've done. I thought the demos were just utterly fantastic. I highly recommend that you check it out. It is available on YouTube, on our website, even here on Facebook. So I say, without further ado, let's play this clip and let Jeremy Morris explain a little bit more about Live.
I just opened up Chrome. So I'm going to the IP address of the TriCaster.
Yep.
And I've got several different options inside Live Panel. So now I have fader control of the internal audio channels of the TriCaster. Now this becomes cool because I can run this off an iPad. I can have this sitting at front of house if I'm doing a live event, if I'm doing a house of worship, if I'm doing a corporate hybrid meeting event where I've got a large venue space that I'm mixing for in-room effect as also I'm mixing for the stream side. I have control over this remotely. Media playback. So if I've got internal graphics that I'm dealing with, so here's my pre-recorded green screen content for virtual sets. Here's my other graphic bins, my other DDRs. I have all this capability, so I can then farm out different jobs to different individuals in a production. Data link. This is how you set up bringing in external content or graphics. If you're, we do have an internal switcher. I'm not a big fan of it because it's limited. It's just click, button, press, and that's what you're switching. So instead, I built my own. So now I have inside Builder, I can set up whatever I want to on how I want to run my production. Yeah, so here's a virtual set that I have set up. That was all based on something that was already done inside TriCaster. I'm just recalling it from this button press. The PTZ control, I have a special page just for that. So just Camera 4 PTZ presets. Now I'm able to do that. I can do those zoom ins. There's the wide shot. I can zoom in on the panel itself. So now I can give individual control of camera presets somewhere on the network. I have this control based on this panel just because how I created it.
Let's move into apps for the cloud, because we all know that the cloud is the future, and that's where a lot of things are going. So one of the big ones, and they just came out with a bunch of new upgrades for this, is the Epiphan Cloud. And essentially what this cloud will do is for places like universities or schools who have a lot, and I mean a lot of these Pearl Minis, Pearl Nanos, Pearl 2s, all around their schools, now they can control them all from one location. And it is an online platform. It does cost a little bit of money, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But this is for all of their products. You have the Pearl Mini, Pearl Nano, Pearl 2, even the Live Script, which can be used for, you know, real-time lower captions for your stuff, and they can all be controlled from one place. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail about this, Jenny. If we can throw this up full screen for a little bit. This will definitely be in the blog post in full so everyone can see it. But these are the pricing that they have, and I think that's very reasonable with all the products that they have. That's good, Jenny. And that's what they have. Now, recently, George does a live stream on Epiphan's YouTube channel every Thursday, and I love tuning into it because, one, I think it's very informational about Epiphan products, especially, I can't recommend Epiphan products enough for schools, but also because George Herbert's awesome. And he recently did a great demo going over what the cloud can do. And you can see this video in full online. So let's play the clip, and a link will show on the clip of where you can go to check out the full thing.
So this is Epiphan Cloud. Right now I'm looking at this page that shows all of our devices. But some of the things we can get here is you'll see things like model names, firmware versions, serial numbers, the health status, the uptime, you know, whether it's on or offline, those sorts of things. If we go into something like this Pearl 2 that I have here, and when we go deeper, we get, you know, kind of a little bit more information. I can look at it just, you know, a little bigger. I can see the temperature, the system load, the uptime, but I can also go a little farther. I can look at the individual channels, and I can actually even go deeper into that channel and look at what my encoding settings are, what my recording settings are. I can stop recording here. I can actually choose to start and stop a stream. So for example, this is a common YouTube stream profile that lives in cloud. I can assign to this Pearl 2 from the cloud. I created it in cloud and I pushed it to that Pearl 2. I can look at the inputs page. And here, I only have one input connected on this demo device, but you can see all of the inputs here and their status, the audio inputs, including getting an audio meter so we know it's active, where we can use the remote login function. And what this will actually allow me to do is remotely connect to the full administrator interface, in this case on this Pearl Mini, as though I was local to the unit. I've actually, this function creates a secure tunnel from the cloud server to this Pearl directly in order to access this local administrator interface. And now I can do anything as though I was, local to that unit accessing the remote, the admin interface.
Now we're going to bring in our guest, which is Glenn. He is a workflow sales specialist, and he's going to go over Bird Dog Cloud. There he is. Cool. It looks like we already have Bird Dog up in the background. Hey, Glenn, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm not sure which camera I'm coming in on, so.
Looks like you're coming in on your regular webcam right now, so you're
Okay.
looking peachy to me.
Perfect.
So, Glenn, let's talk about Bird Dog Cloud and what it does.
Yeah, so really what Bird Dog Cloud is to put it really simple, it is what's referred to as an NDI gateway. And what it's designed to do is, if you've got multiple cameras, actually, let's talk about what we're doing right now. So on my screen, you're sharing my screen. I've actually got an over-the-shoulder shot of the TriCaster here, and I can actually see the production. So we've got a studio in New York. I'm actually based in Dallas. This other camera down here in the bottom is my PTZ camera that's here in Dallas. But what we've got is we've got a studio in New York and a facility in Dallas. And what Bird Dog Cloud allows me to do is it allows us to send high quality NDI video with PTZ control, tally, comms, all the things that are NDI, send it across the internet and then basically have it show up as an NDI feed. So, if we look at, for instance, right now, this is the camera coming out of New York, and I have the ability to control it. It's sitting here in Studio Monitor. So this is NDI Studio Monitor, which I heard you make a great pitch for, a very powerful product that I recommend get installed on every system.
Yeah, I can't recommend those tools enough.
Yeah, so I have full control of that camera, and this is just coming in as a normal NDI feed. So here's the NewTek PTZ camera coming out of New York. So that's an NDI feed. The way Bird Dog Cloud works really simply is, in your New York office, you have a computer that is running the endpoint software. In my office here in Dallas, I have another computer running the NDI on the Bird Dog endpoint software. It shows up just here in my tray as a little executable. It basically runs as a service, so you don't even have to think about it. When we got this going today, all I had to have you do is turn on one of the computers in the office that actually is running the cloud, and instantly I can start transmitting to or from it. So once you have the software up and running, you just jump into the web GUI here, and that's really the cloud aspect of it, is this web GUI, where now I have my two endpoints that are showing up. So here's my Dallas, Texas endpoint, and here's my New York
let's
endpoint.
bring that up full screen for a little bit. Yeah, that's good for people to see. No,
and
that's okay, Jenny.
Yeah, all I'm doing at this point is kind of looking at it and saying, okay, here's my transmit sources. So there's Dallas and there's New York. Here's my receive. And what I can do is if I want to send you cameras from my location, I can just click on my plus here. And the cool thing is I can do a single camera. That's neat. But really when you get into neat stuff is when you do multiple streams. So in this case, I'm going to choose multiple streams. I'm going to send them as an H.265 NVIDIA encoded file. I'm going to choose my NewTek camera. I'm also going to choose my second PTZ camera here as well. So I'm giving you access to two cameras. I can give you failover names, things like that. But basically, I'm giving you two cameras. I give you PTZ and tally control. And as simple as that, now what I've done is I've now connected two cameras to you. So within a few seconds, you're going to start getting my camera feeds from me. So what I'm sending you is, a couple different camera angles from my location. So you can see the cameras are coming in. So you can actually see what's being updated there. So there's cameras and there's the studio cameras coming in. But again, this is all coming in high quality full PTZ control of everything. The other thing you can do too is what's also neat is I could send a multi-viewer. So maybe I don't need to see those cameras for production. Maybe I've got somebody else that just wants to look at them as a multi-view. So what that would do is it would take those two cameras and put them into a multi-view scenario where you can see the multiple feeds coming in. So just lots of flexibility in how you want to use this to just get in that high quality video. And it's a peer-to-peer connection. So even though it's called cloud, it is sending directly from my computer to your computer. So the cloud is only how you administrate these two machines and how they see each other and how they talk to each other. Once that handshake is made, everything is a direct send.
That is really cool. I can see Gary's been watching, and yeah, it absolutely was worth waiting for. I knew this was going to be the coolest. This is going to be one of the coolest things out there. I can see this being used in so many different scenarios, especially with how much we've been having to do remote workflows and stuff like that in live streaming. I think this is one of the best solutions, most comprehensive solutions out there, definitely.
No, and there are tons of applications for this. We've got concerts. I've got several systems going into concert venues that are now, switching and live streaming. This is all over the place. It's a game changer. It's one of those things where you don't want that Zoom quality anymore. You don't want that. This is how you bring in video at high quality. And again, it's much easier to say, hey, let me reposition this camera than telling somebody sitting in front of a camera, hey, move that a little bit to the left, move that a little bit to the right. I have full remote control of it.
Right, absolutely. And Jenny, if you can throw up the PowerPoint screen, full screen, really quick, because this is it's $1,995 per year, and of course we can definitely help you, and because I could honestly see this confusing some people. I really can, Jenny, if you want to go back to the wide. And we can definitely help you out with it. We're not afraid. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you. We're here to make this work. So, Glenn, thank you so much for doing this demo. It was a great demo. That was just a great demo. I am at a loss for words. Well, thank you so much, Glenn. I'm glad you're on the show. So if we could go back to the regular screen, there we go. So what did we talk about today, so I can wrap this up? We talked about apps that make hardware products do more, apps to get more from your PTZ cameras, apps to bring your live production to the next level, and apps for the cloud. That's how we wrapped up today's show. So there was a lot of stuff there. I'm definitely going to be splitting this into clips, so you can pick which one directly pertains to you. Later on YouTube, I'm going to be splitting this up into chapters, now that that's a wonderful feature on YouTube, so you can quickly click to which segment that you wish to go to. Thank you all for tuning in. So if you want to learn more about these, feel free to call us at 800-323-2325. My name is Adam Noyes. Chances are, if you've called in here, you've actually talked to me probably more than once, or at least once. My extension is 1119. You can reach me directly. I promise to you, I don't bite. I can help any way that I can. Of course, we have people like Oliver, who isn't here today, but he's usually here. He is extension 1111. He can help you out as best he can too. We are here for you. We are here to help you. We use this equipment for our own stuff. I use this equipment to stream my own stuff every month. So we play with the equipment. We know this equipment. So feel free to give us a call one last time at 800-323-2325. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok now. Yeah, I wish everybody could see Jenny's face over there. And anyways, so thank you very much. This has been Adam Noyes from Videoguys saying sayonara.
Thank you for watching this week's Videoguys live webinar. We go live every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time to our Facebook and YouTube pages with the latest news on live streaming, video editing, and video storage technology. Make sure to submit your questions for our upcoming Ask the Videoguys show. We also have a webinar for ISO recording workflows for your live productions upcoming. Videoguys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter to stay connected on all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel.